Chapter 1. The Plastic Cup that revealed a billion-dollar secret. You don't own a soccer team. You don't sit in a luxury box beside celebrities and former players. You don't appear on television when the camera scans the crowd after a dramatic goal in the 89th minute. And yet, every time a World Cup goal is scored, money lands somewhere inside your empire. Not because you bet on the match, not because you sponsored the tournament, but because 20 years ago, you noticed something everyone else ignored: a plastic cup rolling across the concrete floor of an almost empty stadium. The crowd was gone. The players were gone. The excitement had disappeared. Only cleaners, maintenance workers, and security guards remained. Most people had already stopped thinking about the match, but you couldn't stop thinking about what made the match possible. Every ticket sold, every hot dog purchased, every advertisement displayed, every broadcast streamed. All of it depended on infrastructure: seats, bathrooms, parking lots, communication networks, storage warehouses, lighting systems. The game generated millions, but none of that money could exist without the invisible systems supporting it. That night, a simple question entered your mind. What if the real opportunity wasn't on the field, but underneath it? That question would eventually lead to a billion-dollar empire. Chapter 2. Why the real winners never touch the ball? Most people watch sports. You started studying infrastructure. Instead of asking who would win the next tournament, you asked different questions. Who owns the parking lots? Who owns the communication towers? Who owns the warehouses storing merchandise? Who owns the land beneath the giant digital billboards? The answers surprised you. Not giant corporations, not famous billionaires, mostly small operators and overlooked businesses, people nobody talked about, so you began buying tiny pieces of that invisible world. A warehouse here, a parcel of land there, a communications contractor. Nothing glamorous, nothing exciting. But every asset solved a problem that major events couldn't function without. While the world chased headlines, you quietly acquired the machinery beneath them, and slowly, the machine began paying you. Chapter 3. Stop watching the game. Own what makes the game possible. When the 2014 World Cup arrived, something interesting happened. You weren't watching every match, but your businesses were. Attendance increased. Merchandise shipments surged. Data traffic exploded. Advertising budgets expanded. And every one of those activities touched something you owned. Warehouses moved inventory. Parking operations filled with vehicles. Communication systems handled rising demand. Advertising structures generated more revenue. The goals weren't making you rich. The systems surrounding the goals were. That's when you realize something important. The World Cup wasn't just a sporting event. It was an economic migration, a migration of money, attention, products, and infrastructure demand. And you had positioned yourself directly in its path. Chapter 4. The Billionaire Portfolio. Nobody brags about. As the years passed, your portfolio became stranger. Fiber routes, equipment yards, storage facilities, portable sanitation contracts, temporary fencing companies, backup power providers, event logistics firms. The kinds of businesses nobody dreams about owning. One owner asked why you wanted to buy his company. You answered honestly, because nobody else does. He laughed. Then he sold. The funny thing about forgotten assets is that they're often underpriced, and underpriced assets become opportunities. While investors chase trends, you chase necessity. And necessity rarely goes out of fashion. Chapter 5. How boring businesses built an invisible empire. Your accountant, Elena, reviewed the portfolio one afternoon. She scrolled through page after page of assets. Then she laughed. This is the strangest portfolio I've ever seen. Parking operations, Commercial cleaning companies, billboard land leases, telecommunications infrastructure, warehouses, power systems, maintenance contracts. It looked less like a billionaire portfolio and more like a list of things people forget exist. Exactly, because people forget. And forgotten assets often create the strongest cash flow. The public watched athletes sign enormous contracts. You watched service agreements renew for 20 years. The public watched goals. You watched invoices. Chapter 6. The day a World Cup goal paid you without playing a famous striker scores. Millions celebrate. But behind that celebration, a hidden chain reaction begins. Viewership rises. Advertising demand increases. Digital billboards become more valuable. Data traffic surges. Fiber networks carry that traffic. Merchandise sales explode. Warehouses move inventory. Fans travel. Parking lots fill. Temporary systems activate. Contracts generate revenue. The world sees a goal. You see an ecosystem. And every part of that ecosystem touches assets you own. Not because you planned every outcome, but because you understood one truth. Money rarely sits in the spotlight. It usually flows through the infrastructure supporting the spotlight. Chapter 7. The billion-dollar number. That appeared on an ordinary Tuesday, another World Cup arrives. The world debates players, predictions, and controversies. You spend the day in an equipment yard discussing generator replacements. Nothing glamorous, nothing historic. Then your phone vibrates. A quarterly financial summary arrives. You open it casually. At the top of the report is a number. Net worth. $1.02 billion. You read it twice. Not because you don't understand it, because it feels ordinary. Nearby, a forklift moves equipment. Workers load cable spools onto trucks. Nobody knows what just happened. Nobody cares. The generators still need replacing. The contracts still need reviewing. The work continues. You reply to the email with 4 simple words. Looks correct. Thank you. Later that night, a striker scores a dramatic winning goal. The world erupts with excitement. Commentators scream. Fans celebrate. The player becomes a hero. And somewhere beneath all that attention, guides, your assets quietly earn a little more money. A billboard, a warehouse, a fiber route, a parking operation, a communications network, a piece of land, tiny streams, all flowing into the same river. Because the most powerful position in the entire system was never on the field, it was underneath it.